we're about to talk about something which is really at the heart of financial inclusion in India, which is India's digital public infrastructure. In India, we call it the India Stack. It has three layers, one to do with identity, the other is the payments layer, and then that's data empowerment. Together, the India Stack is able to enable online, paperless, cashless, digital access to a variety of public and private services. And just if we talk about payments and you look at the scale, in December, 12 billion UPI transactions took place. So clearly, this is a tool for financial inclusion. We're very honored to have with us the Honorable Minister, Ashwini Vaishnav. Mr. Vaishnav, like I was saying, it's become a very important tool for financial inclusion in India. Could you summarize the impact that the India Stack has had?
Thank you very much for hosting me here. India Stack, which is part of the entire digital public infrastructure, that has made a very significant difference in people's lives. If you look at the whole stack, it's structured in a very interesting way. The structure is basically a structure of public-private partnership, where the government has done something and the private sector participants have done a large part of the consumer-facing activity. If you look at the structure,
It's
I can
screen.
simply show you that screen. If it is there on the screen, can you? Yeah. If you look at this screen, the structure basically has one platform called the UPI, this is the only part which has been done by the government. Rest of the entire stuff has been done by private sector. So more than 500 banks have joined it. More than 50 million merchants have joined it. Thousands and thousands of startups, e-commerce enterprises, everybody have joined it. And more than 400 million users have joined it. In a sense, it is a structure in which the government has played the role of the catalyst, and the entire tech ecosystem has used that basic platform to reach out and create multiple number of applications. In terms of empowerment, the cost of transaction, which used to be about $10, that has become a few cents. So today, insurance is reaching the poorest of the poor.
Yeah.
Digital credit is reaching poorest of the poor. Payment, loan, all kinds of financial services are today reaching poorest of the poor. It's possible to have $1 a day kind of systematic investment program, and I mean it's basically lifting the people at the bottom of the pyramid in a very sustained way.
Absolutely. And just to share with our audience that when it comes to DPI facilitated direct transfers of government schemes to direct beneficiaries, we've seen $361 billion of that already taking place. So that is why it has such a huge impact. Now, when we talk about internet penetration and cheaper smartphones, they have been at the crux of enabling financial inclusion. But Mr. Vaishnav, do you also see the need for digital literacy? Because there seems to be a big divide right now between digital literacy in urban areas versus rural areas.
I would like to point out here that the question of digitally inclusive growth, that has been the forefront of our policy making. So today we are investing about 5 billion US dollars in getting the 4G and 5G services to every village of the country, and we have 600,000 villages. We are investing about 15 billion US dollars to take the optical fiber cable to every village in the country. So $20 billion investment basically to make sure that the last person in the society is getting the services. No person should be left behind. That has been the philosophy. In terms of the status of the difference between urban and rural, I would say compared to many other societies in India, the digital inclusion and the digital adaptation in the villages is amazing.
Right.
You go to a smallest of the small village and go to the smallest tea shop out there in the market, and you'll find digital tools being used, and some very nice innovations are there. There is a sound box. So let's say if a payment is done for 20 rupees, the sound box actually speaks out 20 rupees paid.
Right.
So that the trust in the entire digital system is increased tremendously.
Mm.
And in a sense, this is a digital inclusive growth rather than a digitally dividing growth.
Sure. So, talking about the success of UPI, it's actually gone global now. We have France, Singapore, where this service has been launched. So, do you see this impacting one people to people relations and possibly trade as well?
Yes, it does in a very big way. The cost of global remittances is anything in the order of 3 to 5%. Using UPI, you can actually reduce it to less than half a percent. Second, the time that it takes to do a settlement domestically in India, the billions of transactions that we have, the average time of settlement is less than 2 seconds. That is the time it takes for money to get transferred from one account to another physical account.
Right.
Um, when adopted globally, for example, we have this case of Singapore, where the transaction time has actually cut down phenomenally. I can move in Singapore and go to a UPI enabled merchant and use my phone and make an instant payment of out of my account sitting in India in rupee denominated terms, and the payment is done in Singapore dollar and it's instantaneous.
Hmm.
So it's phenomenally empowering. This is very important in the current geopolitical situation that we have the world in. It's very important to have such strong technology which can make a big difference. Today, Japan is working on it, and we are in discussions with about 30 more countries.
That's fantastic to hear. But then there is the challenge of cybersecurity as well. So, what are the efforts being made to ensure that India stack is safer to use?
So far, the record has been very good. The cybersecurity angle has basically three different dimensions. One is because of its simplicity, there are people who would try to misuse it.
Hmm.
So we are working very hard on making the people aware about not sharing OTP, not clicking on any link. That is the biggest part of the threat, which is not really cybersecurity threat. It's more like uh, people trying to misuse it. The system per se is very safe and very tested. There have been multiple attempts at hacking it, but I don't think it has been successful ever.
Okay. So, what role do you see India playing when it comes to technologies like 5G and artificial intelligence? What is the role that India has on a global stage?
So 5G has been a great success in India. I would like to talk about it in two different dimensions. First dimension is the way 5G has been rolled out in India. We started the journey in October 22, and by now we already have 430,000 plus sites which are radiating 5G signal. That is more than the combined number of sites in two large continents and rich countries. So this is a very good story, very rapid rollout. World has marked it as the fastest 5G rollout. The second and very interesting part is a few years back, we decided to develop our own telecom stack.
Hmm.
So India Telecom Stack. India Telecom Stack basically gives you an alternative to the five large solution providers which are having the end-to-end telecom technology. And very happy to share with you, the telecom stack was earlier tested in lab, very good results. Now it is being rolled out in the field, close to 4,000 towers already radiating it, terabytes of data passing through it, and the results are amazing, perfect results.
But are
What
there any goals related to that? There's a
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
milestone?
This, we started rolling out physically July 22, sorry, July 23.
Hmm.
And we had taken a target that within 12 months it will become stable. Very happy to share that it is not even, it is just about 8, 9 months.
Hmm.
And already it is very stable. So, what we were planning to, the scaling up that we were thinking will start in August. That scaling up now we will start doing in May.
All right.
So May onwards, we'll scale it up. By December 24, we should have done something like 35,000 towers radiating the homegrown a complete end-to-end telecom stack. And next year onwards, we would start looking at export markets. Already we have agreement with US and two European countries for taking it international.
Okay, that's good to hear,
I
sir.
also want to share with you that many of the complex telecom equipment, for example, the radio, the routers, the network gear, the optical transport network, all these are today designed in India, manufactured in India, and exported. Exported to countries like US, in Europe, and about 14 countries we are exporting the telecom gear. So it's a very different story. 10 years back, we were pure importers of technology. Today, we are exporters of technology.
That was my next question. That in terms of the material needed to have that kind of quick expansion, are we ready as a manufacturing country?
Oh, yes. This 5G rollout that we see 430,000 plus sites, majority of the equipment is made in India.
Okay.
Majority of the equipment, I guess the number would be anywhere between 65 to 75% is made in India.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on the issue of artificial intelligence, a lot of us are scared of generative AI, especially when it comes to, morphed pictures, fake news, etc. So, is there a thought on what kind of regulation could be set up around AI?
A couple of things. First, AI has been in use in India for a very long period. What the buzz that we saw when ChatGPT came out, that's a buzz in a very consumer facing AI world, right? But in the entire industrial world, in gas pipelines, in steel making, in automobile, in trains, AI has been in use for a significantly long period in India. And the largest talent pool for developing AI solutions, for developing AI models, is basically in our country. And now we are creating a structure, once again, the public private partnership, where the government is putting in public resources to create the compute power. And that compute power will then be made available to startup community, to academia, to researchers, to different application developers like the people in agriculture, healthcare, education. The thought process here is, while we are fully aware of the harms that can come to the society and we must regulate that very strongly, the benefits of the innovation should not be missed out. That benefits of innovation in terms of productivity that will come in terms of the new solutions that can come out for complex problems like ours, that we must not miss out. In terms of regulation, we are already in discussion with the industry. We have proposed something to the industry where they are already working on their own. And after the elections are over, we'll come out with a consultation paper for regulating the AI space. We will, like we did in the data protection space, we created a framework which is a fine balance between innovation and regulation. Unlike many other geographies which are very focused on increasing regulation, right? We created that fine balance, and the world is today noting that as a template. We will, in case of AI also, will regulate it in a way which balances innovation and regulation.
Okay, let's talk about smartphones. India has, of course, seen a huge surge in smartphone manufacturing, and we're seeing international players like Google now saying that it will manufacture its Pixel smartphones in India. So, what are some of the steps that you've taken to ensure that that kind of confidence is being shown in India, that foreign companies now want to manufacture in India?
The Prime Minister Modi ji has conducted the foreign policy and economic policy in a way where the entire world looks at India as a trusted country. That trust, some people call it friend shoring, some people call it near shoring, I call it trust shoring. So trust shoring is very important. Trust shoring actually has led to many large manufacturers basing their major activity out of India. The talent pool is available in electronics manufacturing. The design talent is very important for the manufacturing space, and design talent is available in India in abundance. Most complex products are designed in India. So the stable policy regime, the trust on India that has given this good results. Decade back, 98% of the mobile phones that we were using in India were imported. Today, 99.2% of the mobile phones that we use in India are made in India.
Yes.
Our exports have already crossed $12 billion. Our mobile phone manufacturing has already crossed $55 billion. And electronics manufacturing, we have started manufacturing servers, laptops, and electronic manufacturing has already crossed $105 billion. In the coming few years, we will see electronics manufacturing crossing $300 billion and mobile exports crossing about $50 billion.
Yep.
So that is the target we are working towards, very stable policy. And very soon we'll also come with Indian brands. Indian manufacturers have matured. Component ecosystem is growing by leaps and bounds. And uh, this entire ecosystem today is ripe for developing Indian brands.
So, talking about your role as the railway minister now, and Indian Railways has been undergoing a modernization spree. Some major projects announced just about 2 days ago. Can you tell us how those are progressing and also the role of technology in modernizing Indian railways?
Railway has been the focus of Prime Minister's infrastructure development theme, and it's very important because railway saves 90% carbon dioxide emissions, 90% compared to highway. It also saves 60% of cost. So, in a sense, this is the most sustainable transportation mode. So, last year, the current financial year that we have financial year from April to March. Our investment is 29 billion US dollars. And as we speak, we have already achieved 89% of the investment program. Next year's investment will be about 31 billion US dollars. So it's a sustainable investment at a run rate of 30 billion average for the next many years. This is creating huge capacity. Last year, we added 5,200 kilometers of railway networks. That is like adding one Switzerland to the Indian railway network. This year also, we are adding 5,500 kilometers. So that is adding Switzerland plus to the railway network. So we will continue to do this progress and shift. We are today already carrying about 7 billion people annually. We keep a target of about 10 billion people by 2030. We are carrying about 1,600 million tons of cargo this year, and we have kept a target of 3,000 million tons by 2030. A huge transformative change is happening in railways. Significant amount of technology is being developed. For example, the Vande Bharat.
Yes.
This is a semi-high-speed train, 180 kilometers per hour. There are only 8 countries in the world who have the capability to develop this kind of train. And we have joined that club. It's an elite, it's a very exclusive club. Many parameters, the train is better than global best. And in coming years, we'll start exporting it. We have already started developing the export version of it. So it's a very different story. It makes a very big difference in people's lives because railway is the in the income pyramid. Railway caters to the low income and middle income families. And in our population of 1.4 billion people, it's very important to have a very sustainable and a good, comfortable, safe mode which our millions of low income and middle income families can use.
Of course. So to wrap up, you're in Qatar, and I believe you've had some very productive high-level meetings today. So I think it'll be great if we can close with you telling us how those meetings went and what kind of cooperation we can see between the two countries.
Qatar and India have had good relations spanning over centuries. And in the recent past, the relations have really come up to a different level. Honorable Prime Minister Shri Modi ji visited Qatar very recently. I've come to follow up on many of the things that were discussed then. We have had very good meetings with the Transport Minister, with the Communications Minister, and with the Governor of the Qatar Central Bank. Qatar will be evaluating the UPI payment system. We also discussed how we can together take the UPI payment system to Africa, to many other countries where Qatar already has very good relationships. We discussed investments in port sector, in developing terminals along the railway network, in the logistics space. We also discussed cooperation in semiconductor.
Mhm.
Our fab announcement should happen very soon, and there is a lot of investor interest in India's growth story. People do believe that India will continue to grow at 6 to 8% over next many years. Maybe in the coming few years, we'll start looking at a band of 7 to 9%. So that's a very good growth story. It's a very consistent growth story. So given that as the background, Qatar has very good business and investment opportunities.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us at the Web Summit today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.